Have you ever walked past a garden just before sunrise and noticed how strangely quiet it feels? The flowers haven't opened yet. The air is still, and if there's a beehive nearby, you probably assume nothing is happening inside. But what if the busiest part of a bee's day isn't when you can see them? While most of the world is asleep, thousands of honeybees are carrying out a carefully organized night shift that almost no one ever witnesses. No frantic buzzing, no dramatic flights, just a hidden rhythm that keeps the entire colony alive before the first ray of sunlight reaches the hive. Tonight, we're stepping inside that darkness to discover what really happens between midnight and dawn, and why scientists believe these silent hours may be just as important as the busy daylight you've always associated with bees. Welcome to Hive Mind. Subscribe before you leave, because after this video, you may never look at a quiet beehive the same way again. Over the next few minutes, we'll uncover how bees stay warm while the world cools, why the queen is never truly alone, how thousands of workers prepare for sunrise without leaving the hive, and the fourth discovery is the one most people never see coming. Section 1. The hive never really sleeps. Most people think a beehive shuts down after dark. Once the last forager returns, it seems as if the colony simply rests until morning. But inside the hive, the night is anything but quiet. Instead of flying, thousands of worker bees shift to different responsibilities. Some form tight clusters around developing brood, gently vibrating their flight muscles to generate heat without moving their wings. Others inspect wax combs, clean empty cells, or pass food between nestmates. Every movement is small, but together they keep the colony functioning. Imagine standing beside a hive just after midnight. Outside, the air feels cool and still. Inside, however, the temperature remains remarkably stable around the brood. Honeybees work together like tiny living heaters, preventing vulnerable larvae from becoming too cold. Researchers have found that maintaining this warmth is essential because even slight temperature changes can affect healthy development. If you've ever wondered how a colony survives a chilly spring night in your backyard, this invisible teamwork is part of the answer. What this means is that a hive doesn't become inactive when darkness arrives. It simply changes its priorities. But this isn't the strangest part. Section 2. The Queen's Silent Night. At first glance, you might imagine the queen bee spending the night alone, resting after a busy day. The reality is very different. The queen is almost never left unattended. A small circle of worker bees constantly surrounds her, grooming her, feeding her, and spreading her pheromones throughout the colony. These chemical signals help the hive stay organized, even while most bees remain inside. Scientists believe these pheromones continue shaping the colony's behavior through the night, reinforcing cooperation before dawn's activity begins. Picture the center of the hive. In the darkness, no bee is giving spoken commands. There are no leaders barking orders. Instead, thousands of individuals respond to invisible chemical messages flowing through crowded corridors of wax. It's surprisingly similar to a city that keeps essential services running while everyone else sleeps. You never notice the workers maintaining power, water, or transportation, but by morning, everything is ready. Your garden may seem peaceful at night, yet just a few feet away, an entire society is quietly preparing for another day. What this means is that the queen's greatest influence isn't through constant movement. It's through a language humans can never hear. And this is where most people misunderstand bees. Section 3. Preparing for the first light. What few people realize is that bees don't wait for sunrise to decide what they'll do. Many preparations begin long before the first flower opens. Worker bees consume stored honey to fuel the coming day's energy demands. Younger house bees continue feeding larvae with nutrient-rich food, while experienced workers become increasingly active as morning approaches. Studies suggest that honeybees possess internal biological clocks, allowing many of their daily activities to follow predictable rhythms. As darkness slowly begins to fade, subtle changes in temperature and light filtering into the hive help synchronize the colony. It isn't an alarm clock. It's nature's timing system. Imagine watching the entrance of a hive just before dawn. For several minutes, almost nothing appears to happen. Then suddenly, the first scout emerges, followed by another, and then dozens more. To us, it looks spontaneous. In reality, those departures were quietly prepared hours earlier. The same flowers you admire each morning are already part of a schedule the bees have anticipated. What this means is that sunrise isn't the beginning of the workday. It's simply the moment when months of instinct and hours of nighttime preparation become visible. But one mystery remains. Section 4. The conversations we never hear. The fourth discovery is the one most people never see coming. Many people associate bee communication with the famous waggle dance, which usually happens after successful foraging trips. But researchers continue exploring how colonies exchange information during quieter periods as well. Even during the night, bees constantly interact through touch, vibrations, food sharing, and chemical signals. Every brief antenna contact may carry useful information. Every exchange of food helps distribute nutrients, and sometimes chemical cues, throughout the colony. You won't hear these conversations. You won't see dramatic movements. Yet thousands of tiny interactions help maintain one of nature's most coordinated societies. If you own a garden or have watched bees visiting your flowers every summer, it's easy to think their real story happens in daylight. But daylight only reveals the final performance. Much of the preparation happens when no one is watching. What this means is that silence doesn't always mean nothing is happening. Sometimes it hides the most important work of all. And there's one final lesson hidden inside the darkness. Section 5. Why this changes the way we see bees. Perhaps the greatest mystery isn't what bees do at night. It's why we've overlooked it for so long. Human beings naturally notice movement. We watch bees flying between flowers, returning with bright pollen baskets, or hovering over blossoms. Those moments are beautiful because we can see them. But beneath the wooden walls of a hive, another world continues in complete darkness. Heat is shared. Young are protected. Food is passed from bee to bee. Signals spread through the colony. Every individual contributes to something far larger than itself. Scientists are still discovering exactly how these nighttime activities shape colony health and survival. Each new study reveals another layer of complexity inside an insect many people assume is simple. So the next time you walk through your garden before sunrise, or hear the gentle hum of a hive fading into the evening, remember this: the silence isn't empty. Behind those wax walls, thousands of tiny lives are working together with extraordinary precision, preparing for a morning that hasn't arrived yet. And perhaps that's the most remarkable part of all. Nature's greatest performances often happen when no one is watching. Have you ever noticed bees behaving differently early in the morning or late in the evening? Share your experience in the comments. We'd love to hear what you've seen.